Today I fucked up by not checking my headphones before wearing them. So this morning, I grabbed my headphones like I always do, ready to listen to some music. Didn't think twice about it, just put them on and hit play. Almost immediately, I felt this weird tickling in my ear. At first, I thought it was just a hair or something, but then I felt it move. I ripped the headphones off, and there it was, a spider crawling out of one of the ear cups. I shook the headphones and more little spiders started falling out. Apparently, they had made a nest inside the headphones, right where my ears were supposed to go. And yep, a couple of them decided to crawl into my ear. Spent the next few minutes trying to shake them out without losing my mind, then spent the next hour checking my room for any more of these creepy crawlies. This was definitely not how I wanted to start my day, and now I'm probably going to have trust issues with my headphones for a while. Too long did not read. Always check your headphones before putting them on, or you might end up with a bunch of spiders in your ear. There is either nothing here or just this link. Deleting Reddit app now. Bye. Waving hand, light skin tone. Sorry mate, self-immolate. My first thought is, what? How can you possibly get a spider living in your headphones? How tiny must they be if they can get into the case? Then I remembered that I use earbuds instead of the giant cups that everyone else seems to use XD. Knew I should have scrolled past this. I hate this so much. Thank you for the anxiety. Today I fucked up by brewing dog food in my French press. So, this morning, I hit a new low. I've been sick all week, fever, cough, and feeling like a total zombie. Last night was brutal, tossing and turning, exhausted but not sleeping, so I woke up feeling even worse. All I wanted was coffee. I dragged myself out of bed, barely able to keep my eyes open, and made my way to the kitchen. Like always, I grabbed my French press, ground my beans, or so I thought, dumped them in, and poured the hot water. I stood there, zoning out, waiting for my caffeine fix. Fast forward a few minutes, and it's ready. I pressed it down, poured a cup, and took a sip, and almost passed out. Turns out, my congestion had completely blocked my sense of smell, so I didn't even notice something was off until the taste hit me. Yep, I had brewed a lovely hot pot of dog food broth instead of coffee. To make matters worse, my dogs were just sitting there, wagging his tail like I'd made him some Michelin star breakfast. They were very interested in this new concoction. At that point, I threw in the towel, cleaned everything up, and crawled back into bed. Still no coffee, but at least the dogs had a good laugh. Too long did not read. I was so congested and out of it this morning that I accidentally brewed dog food in my French press instead of coffee. Took a sip and almost passed out when I realized. My dog was thrilled. Did you give the dogs any or at least feed them? They were waiting so patiently. DoorDash some coffee and breakfast. I did something similar once, but not as bad. I make my coffee with powdered hot cocoa. My GMA called it a Mocha Joe. So as usual, I opened the packet, mixed it into my coffee and tasted. Carbonated raspberry hell. Instead of mixing hot cocoa, I mixed in raspberry emergency. The effervescence was horrendous, but the raspberry flavoring wasn't too terrible. Just out here making yourself a proper puppuccino. When you want pure Arabica and instead get Purina. I am confused, friend. What kind of dog food has a texture like coffee? Hee hee. One morning years ago I had put in about 70 hours that week for a big project at work. I went to make the coffee, poured the water in, scooped the coffee, rinsed out my travel mug. Then went and took a shower real quick. Came out to coffee, everywhere. Literally everywhere. The counters. The floor. Huge mess. It turns out my wife had lovingly started coffee for me knowing how hard I was working that week. She was planning to make breakfast as well. It ended up being a huge release of laughter for us as we cleaned it up. We now jokingly refer to tired morning autopilot situations as coffee incidents. Today I fucked up by trying to stay awake during anesthesia. About a year ago, I had finished 25 rounds of pelvic radiation for cancer and was taking Percocet for severe pain I had around that time. I stopped taking the pain medication cold turkey before I ran out, but somehow my body didn't react well to this. I was having some serious stomach pain, and the doctors were suspicious that I had gastroparesis. They needed to do an endoscopy to confirm it. I thought, hey, I've had surgeries before, no big deal, and then I got curious. I wondered if I could remember what happens just before being knocked out by anesthesia if I made a real effort to stay awake. Challenge accepted. I had already been in the hospital for a few days because of my stomach issues. They wheeled me from my hospital bed to the surgical area, and then transferred me to a smaller bed. I was parked in a huge room with a few other patients, separated by curtains. Fun fact. I had been in the same room a year before for a painful blood patch procedure, without anesthesia. Eventually, they rolled me into the surgical room. My bed was parallel to the freezing cold surgical table, and they moved me over. As always, they asked me my name and birthday for the 50th time. Then the anesthesiologist came over to my left side and started putting the meds into my IV, which was near my left hand. And that's when I messed up. Suddenly, I felt this sharp, shooting pain going all the way up my left arm. I wasn't just uncomfortable, I was crying uncontrollably from the pain. I remember someone on my right saying, "Don't worry, you won't remember this when you wake up." Well, spoiler alert, I remembered. When I woke up, the first thing I recalled was that awful pain. I've had multiple surgeries before, and anesthesia was always fine. But now, I've got a brand new fear of going under. Thanks, brain. Too long did not read. Tried to stay awake and be aware before the anesthesia knocked me out during the surgery. The meds caused a shooting pain up my arm, and now I'm mildly terrified of surgery. Trying to stay awake seems like the absolute last thing I'd want to do during surgery. Certain anesthesia medications can cause that burning sensation in the veins, phenols like propofol in particular. Premedicating with lidocaine or pushing drugs slower can prevent that. Did you ask them what caused the pain? Just before going under for a colonoscopy, I asked the doctor why some patients preferred no twilight anesthesia. He was in the middle of explaining how some folks needed to be 100% lucid after the procedure because of work or whatever. Some folks just didn't like any kind of anesthesia, some have addiction reasons, blah blah blah. In the middle of his explanation, I woke up in recovery. So cool the way that stuff works. The pain was propofol. Very common to have it burn as it goes in. Usually lidocaine before helps to knock some of the pain down. Next time ask for lidocaine first and a slower push. I stopped taking the pain medication cold turkey before I ran out. Why? I wondered if I could remember what happens just before being knocked out by anesthesia if I made a real effort to stay awake. Why? But now, I've got a brand new fear of going under. Thanks, brain. Your brain is punishing you for your poor life decisions. Today I fucked up by telling my crush I liked bigger girls. So basically I have a crush on a close friend of mine who goes to a school very far away from where I live. We barely see each but we text almost every day and honestly that's my favorite part of the day. But a while back I told her that I liked big girls which was super scary since she was the first person I told about it and I live in a country that being bigger is seen as problem or that you are lazy, makes me very sad. But I've also been crushing on her for years now and last year when I saw her last I told myself that the next time I see her I would tell her how I feel. Well I saw her tonight at a party and I don't know how to say this but she has gained significant amount of weight I worried would make her think I'm only interested in her because she was bigger. We spent the rest of the night partying and having fun and I had an amazing night just talking to her again but I didn't tell her and I don't know what to do. Any advice would be appreciated big time. Also if the Smosh people see this I'm a big fan. Too long did not read. I told my crush I liked big girls but now that she is a big girl too it feels wrong to tell her about the feelings I've had for years. You're overthinking this, bro. Just tell her your feelings without mentioning anything about her size. Say you've liked her for years. I've had a sizable crush on you for years. The only foo was not telling her how you feel about her. Where's the F up here? You like big girls, the girl you like got bigger when you told her that. Have you considered she may have consciously gained a little weight? Or stopped worrying so much about being skinny? She likes you. Just tell her that you've had feelings for her for years, and that time apart has made you realize you need to tell her sooner rather than later, and see where it goes from there. If she brings it up, either in a serious tone or a sarcastic one, that you might only like her cause she's bigger, then just tell her you've always liked her regardless. If she teases any further just say, well now there's even more reason to like you, or something that acknowledges it in a friendly way.